Hello everyone. Yes, as you've seen from the title, and presumably you've hopefully you would have seen my actual tattoo number 13 and 14, or The Witcher 1 and my Fender Stratocaster guitar video. Yes, I'm here to talk about those tattoos for my more long-term subs. Saying that though, I've definitely gained a lot of new subs recently, so if you haven't seen me talk about my previous tattoos, if that is something that you're interested in, of course you could have come to my channel for something else. But yeah, it's just something that funny enough, I started in lockdown, and I've just always been curious, and well, not so much curious, more, some people, I'm actually in a tattoo Facebook group, and someone I remember actually did say recently that they get a bit awkward if someone asks what their tattoos are all about. Me, I've always been kind of the complete opposite. I mean, it is weird how, in a way, that how every single one of my tattoos has got a story, but to me that story is like, well, that's the whole meaning why I get it. I don't just get something because it looks whatever. I always get something that's meaningful for me, and um you know 14 tattoos in, ugh, even that's starting to sound a bit wild to me now. And that I think that's the reason why I've literally had no regrets whatsoever when it comes to any of my tattoos and that. Although it has just occurred to me actually that even though we'll be talking on this one first, of course, that this one, well, there you go, you can actually see it there, that I wonder if anyone might say, well, isn't that really just 13 tattoos because it's connected with another one? What, some people might say that, but it definitely doesn't feel like that's an extension of that previous tattoo to me. And that, anywho, after my usual rambling and that, let's get to it and that. And since this is was the first tattoo, there you go. So yes, I assume you can see this here. Yes, I'm actually filming this how many days after? Three. I got it done on Thursday, and it's now Sunday, so 3-4 days later, depending if you count tattoo day as day one. And that's the reason why the second skin, or in this case Dermalize, is still on. And I've still got the sheet on, of course, on the guitar as well. But anywho, to this, of course, if anyone wants to know about this tattoo in length, go back on that one. That will be all about my 5th tattoo. That will be the long one above it. So essentially this one word is called it says Gwynbleidd in Welsh, which means, or translates to, white wolf. And the reason why that is attached to this one, but I hope the other reason why I held that like that is I hope it does come across on the camera that I have used quite a different font on this one to this one. Reason why they're all together is because the big one, as you've seen from my previous video, that is a quote from the Witcher 3 game. Gwynbleidd, this is my Witcher 1 tattoo. And this is one thing that the other half has always sort of like had a little bit, you know, he's a very competitive gamer. So when you get, you know, a little nod of approval or, you know, or whatever. So yeah, he's always had that little bit, you know, you will always have one up on me because you've played the first Witcher game and I haven't. And that's solely because he is a console player and Witcher 1 was a PC exclusive game. So yeah, I must admit, in that respect, I do feel like I do know that game a bit more. And I literally had thought that I had actually completed it. And then, funny enough, it was about, I think it was late summer last year that I went back on it. It's always one of those games that luckily the old save points do save, even if you've uninstalled it. Joys of cloud storage and that. And I actually realised, oh my god, I literally probably only got about maybe just over halfway the game. And that, can I say, for a 2008 game, few sticky places in that game, but managed to get through them. And you know what? It was just so rewarding and so fulfilling to actually get through that entire game and had the credits rolling and all of that lot. And that was around, if I remember correctly, I think that was around September-ish. And then it literally didn't come into my head like right at that moment. It did take a few weeks, but I do remember it was sometime in October because I have a lot of important things that happen in October. And I remember it was somewhere around that time. And I'm suddenly thinking, yeah, do you know what? I really actually would like to get just something, because I realised that this had taken up a fair bit of room, which that was fine. And that. And I thought, yeah, I really would like to get something that would commemorate the fact that I have completed Witcher 1. And funny enough, it almost translated in that I had nearly almost completed everything. Well, literally, not every single quest, but I mean like all the key elements in Witcher 3. I'd also finally gone back and I had finally had got through the entire big massive DLC with that. So I'd also completed that, so it almost felt that was a bit while after that, but not drastically after that. So I thought, yeah, I really want it. And much like all the others, but I think this was a very, very simple process. I suddenly thought, well, what could I get for Witcher 1? And I can't remember toying with it very often. I think it literally was one of those, just that sort of instant thing, or it was pretty quick that it came to me and that. And this was, and the reason why I went with Gwynblade is I thought, yeah, that works. It's all script work. It's one word. It can go underneath. And this was what I actually said to the other half, because he knew I was getting a Witcher 1 tattoo when I was getting this, but I didn't tell him what, because Gwynblade, like I said, translates to White Wolf. Now, the reason I've got it in Welsh and that previous one is in Scottish Gaelic is because the original author of the Witcher books, when he was creating the Elder speech language, where this all comes from, where all the runes come from and things like this and that, part of that mythology, he used a lot of the Celtic languages. So he used Scottish Gaelic, he used Welsh. I think he also did use Irish Gaelic. No, Irish Gaelic. Gaelic is the way that Scotland say it. That's why you should differentiate. And that, but I haven't come across it yet, but I believe he did, but I've never read the books, so maybe it's more in the books than the games. And that, and everything. So, and I thought, yeah, that works. Because the key thing is in that game, and the reason why I chose it, is because there's some really either key characters or there's some real key pivotal moments in that game where the name for Geralt, because that's what it is, it's like a nickname, a pet name for Geralt of Rivia, Gwynblade. translates to White Wolf. Now, I don't know how much it is in Witcher 2. And don't ask me about that game, because that game I've had too many problems with, unfortunately, to play that. All I'm going to say is a big, massive boss I've never been able to get around. And that. But Witcher 3, White Wolf is he's almost known as White Wolf more than he's known as Geralt, or just as much, if you know what I mean. But in Witcher 1, Gwynbleidd is really apparent. Now, Gwynbleidd, I do recollect, I think, is used twice, I think, in Witcher 3, but it's not really known. He's always known as White Wolf. But this is the origins of it, which makes sense because Witcher 1 does precede Witcher 3. So that's essentially where that comes from. And that, and if anyone ever gives me a comment, say, well, and that, why, what's wrong with Witcher 2, what's your problem with that? Essentially, it's in chapter 1. The other half had the same problem. So the reason why we've never got through Witcher 2 is there's this massive boss fight that we've just never been able to get through, essentially. But I have watched Witcher 2 on YouTube just because I wanted to kind of fill in the storyline in that. And if anyone ever also does ask me, well, what would you ever do if by any 1 in a billion chance you actually ever did get through Witcher 2? Yes, because I am going to put it out there, and that whenever I do think of Witcher 2 and think, can I get past that boss, I do it with like, I do it with that kind of face. And the other half definitely gets that. But will I ever say definitively, am I ever going to give up completely on that game? No, every once in a while I go back to it and I have another crack at it. Yeah, and that. But I must admit, ever since this, it has almost made me think, ugh, surely isn't there like some mods or something? Because seriously, I'm not someone that plays with mods. I play just on its own. And it is weird, ever since I got this, actually, would I ever want to go and, what would I do if I managed to get past that boss and got through Witcher 2? Well, I don't even want to think of what the reaction would be from my other half. That'd be another matter. And that. But weirdly, I mean, I'm sort of, the likelihood of it is a bit, that. But if I ever did, yes, I actually do know what I would get done. And funny enough, that, I know I'm saying a potential in, but do you know what? It's a 50-50 chance if I ever would get it. But I actually would just get a tiny little rose stem here. And yeah, and I'll leave that open-ended for all the Witcher fans. All I will say is I would get a certain, just a tiny little rose stem to look like the Rose of Remembrance. And we'll leave it at that. All the Witcher fans out there will definitely know what I mean by that. And the reason I would get that is because that whole situation does occur in The Witcher 2. Like I said, I've watched Witcher 2 on YouTube. So, anywho. Yeah, oh god, as usual, this is going to be a very rambly video, but this is about 2 tattoos, not 1. So, I think I'm allowed. And that. Yeah, that was the other thing I decided. You know what? I'm not going to split these. I'm just going to make one long one, I think. And that.